Hello again, my friends. I have an art lesson for you today called How to Draw 2,222 Birds. If you're recording it in your journal, it would look something like this. How to draw 2,222 birds. Don't worry, we're not literally going to draw 2,222 birds. That would be madness, even with extra time on our hands. This is just a cool trick. So, for this art project, all you need is paper. I'm using my sketchbook journal and something to write with. I'm using a Sharpie, so it will show up really well on camera, but you're probably better off using a pencil for your first try. Remember when you do art that first tries don't normally come out in a way that you're very happy with. So, a way to prepare your brain for that can be to take your piece of paper, fold it into fourths, and promise yourself that you're going to practice drawing this 4 times so that you can see yourself improving. I'm just going to do one for the sake of time and sanity, but I suggest that after the video, you try and do it 4 times. And then add color if you want. Don't add color, make a comic about them, whatever feels good for you. For this, we're going to start by drawing a line. So here's my sketchbook. Here's a big old line. It is a little bit curvy and it's in the bottom section, but not the very bottom. About 1/3 of the way up from the bottom is a good estimate. Then we're going to write the number 2,222 with the baseline of the twos sitting on this line. So that's going to look like this. 2,222. Okay. Now, these twos right here are going to turn into one bird, and these twos are going to turn into another bird. See, I promised, not literally 2,222 birds. We're going to start by giving them little blob heads. So, blob for a head, blob for a head. Remember that the world of birds is insanely diverse, so if your bird blob head looks different, it probably still looks like a real bird out there. Now we're going to go beaks, and I want my birds to be looking at each other, but you could do them differently if you wanted them to be like cross and sitting with their backs to each other or both looking in the same direction, whatever works. We're going to draw their beaks in 2 parts. So the first part is like a curve and then finish it underneath. Curve, finish it underneath. And then the bottom half of the beaks we're going to make smaller so they kind of like tuck under, sort of like a raptor's beak or a parrot beak. That and like that. Now, once you get this art idea down, if you want to go and do totally different beak varieties, kind of like Darwin's finches or something neat like that, you can definitely take this and go farther. We're just going to start with this. Next is eyes. I'm going to do pretty simple eyes, but if you've been practicing drawing eyes and want to do those fancy cartoon ones with like the little tiny blur lines that make them look really cool, that would be awesome. I'm just going to do a circle with a little part at the front and a shaded in back part. Okay. Now we need to make their wings. Before we can do that, we have to finish the branch. So underneath your first branch line, draw another one. Okay. Now we're going to imagine that this part of the two is a wing, and it's going to go behind the branch and then appear out the back. So we're going to draw the two down until it touches the branch, then imagine right here and not draw, and show what we think it would look like when it peeked out the bottom. And we're going to do the same thing for this bird. So connect the top of the two down till it hits the branch, imagine the part behind the branch, and draw what's left. I'm going to put a couple little marks to kind of give the impression of wing feathers there. Now we're going to do the front part of its body and finish a big, long, like fancy pants tail, because I feel like my birds need fancy tails. So we're going to follow this too. Imagine drawing behind the branch and follow it down. This one's going to get a really fancy tail. And then I think just to balance it out, this one's going to have a less fancy tail. So we're going to follow the two behind the branch. There. Okay. All we need now are feet. Draw some little curves that go in front of the branch because the feet need to be holding on. Like that. And then if you want your bird to have some fancy feathers on top, you can do that. I'm going to make this one my fancy bird. So I'm going to give him some crazy, like curly fancy feathers. This bird is clearly trying to attract a mate with these feathers. And you're done. So I'm going to bring it in nice and close so you can see. There is our little bird drawing. If you want to color it, you could. If you want to leave it black and white, you could. Here is one that I tried a couple minutes ago while I was practicing that I added color to, and I'm pretty proud of it. I think it looks pretty nice. So give it a try. Remember that your first one is probably not going to be something you love, but if you keep trying, it will look nice. Stay in touch. Send me a picture of what you made if you want. Maybe drop it in the mail, send it to your grandparents. They like art. And keep being lovely humans. Stay busy, stay kind, and I'll see you again in a few days.